So, okay. So previously we discussed about the DM domain completely with the ACRF designing. So today we'll be speaking about another domain, which is very, very important. So let's just see the process. Okay, let's take a look at this. So the next domain is AE. So what do you mean by AE? AE stands for adverse event. You're going to call AE stands for adverse event. Okay. So in the adverse event, we need to discuss a very important thing. Can anybody tell me the difference between the adverse event, another one, treatment, emergent, adverse event, serious treatment, or you can say that treatment, emergent, adverse event, TEAE. So this one will be named as shortcut as TEAE. So first we'll try to understand this one. So what is the difference between these three? You need to get a complete idea, complete picture on this one. First of all, what is an adverse event? When the patient who enter into the clinical trial, compulsory after taking the treatment or during the treatment or before the treatment, subject will face some adverse event. It may be the headache, it may be the vomiting, it may be the constipation, it may be the itching, it may be the dizziness, it may be some etc. Compulsory, there will be some adverse event will be there compulsory. Okay. So now the important point is that, so let's discuss about these three concepts completely. Why you're just focusing on this one directly, we can enter into the variable, we can go on discussing. That is not the correct one. Generally, we are trying to know the difference between these three because the total adverse event will be classified into three segments: adverse event, treatment emergent adverse event, serious emergent adverse event. Okay. So first of all, let's see what is a adverse event. What do you mean by an adverse event? Okay. So what I will do, I'll use a simple trick over here. So here I'm going to define ICF, means informed consent. Informed consent, before also some adverse event has come across. I hope this is clear for everybody. So informed consent before adverse event has come across, informed consent after adverse event come across. So the important point is that, so whenever you go in this way, before the informed consent, okay, I hope you're listening to me. If before the informed consent, if the subject is getting any adverse event, so those information, what are the adverse events information is there? Suppose there are 25 patients are there. 25 patients is having an adverse event before the informed consent. So then these adverse events information will be recorded into the MH. That is nothing but medical history. So this is a kind of a domain where the previous adverse event before the subject signed the informed consent. So those information will be get captured into the medical history. This is also an adverse event, but the past 5 years, past 10 years. passed before informed consent. So those records will be populated into the MH. After signing the informed consent, what? After signing the informed consent, whatever the adverse event come across, I'm putting a line over here. I'm balancing it. So whatever the adverse event has come across, total any event it may be, any event it may be. So this information will be get populated into the adverse event. So this is the first step. So I hope this is clear. Before signing the informed consent, if the subject is getting any kind of adverse event, those information will be stored into the medical history. After signing the informed consent, if the subject is getting any kind of adverse event, so those information will be get captured into the adverse event only. But the adverse event, in that there are three partitions are there. Adverse event, treatment emergent adverse event, serious emergent adverse event. So these are the three different types of categories. These three informations which will be available is AE only. But then why it is important? Because in the reporting point number, whenever you generate the TLFS, tables listings, they don't want the total adverse events data, because total adverse events data means in that adverse event will come, TAE will come, serious TAE also will come. It's like a packed one. But that particular customer means it's a client. That particular client is expecting some part of requirement from you. So like they want only the treatment emergent adverse events record based information only. They want only the serious treatment emergent adverse event record. They want only the adverse events records only. So then at the time, if the filtration was not done, it is very difficult to generate the report. So that is the reason this particular concept is very, very important. So anyway, so the informed consent. Now what happened exactly? So what I will do, here I'm going to mention the RF SDTC. Very simple, right? So that means once the subject is assigned to the treatment, okay, once the subject is assigned to the treatment, and as per the treatment date, the subject has taken the treatment also on the same day only was taken. So once the subject has started taking the treatment, I mean to say, before the treatment, if any particular event has come across, okay, till informed consent, so those records will be considered as an adverse event. So that means treatment before, if AE, ST, DTC, this is a variable. So that means treatment before, if the subject is getting any adverse event, so those records will be considered as an adverse event. But during the treatment, if the subject is getting any adverse event, or after the treatment, if the subject is getting any adverse event, so then what happened exactly? So treatment during or after, treatment greater than or equals to AE started. So here, this is AE, ST, DTC. So this is greater than or equals to, this is less than or equals to. So that means less than. So that means less than. Treatment test before, if the subject is getting any adverse event, so this AE data will be get generated. But during the treatment means is equals to. After the treatment means greater than. So during the treatment or after the treatment, if the subject is getting any adverse event, so those records will be considered as a treatment emergent adverse events record. This is a very powerful one. So well, then coming to the next one, serious treatment emergent adverse events record. What do you mean by serious treatment emergent adverse events record? For example, the subject has got the adverse event. Okay, first it was mild. What? First it was mild. Okay. Now, so there is a variable with the name called A seriousness, because the name itself says serious. So that means, so generally, so whenever we go to the process, or whenever you go to the step over here, so generally what happened, there is a variable with the name called AESCV. This is a variable, okay, to understand the concept. AESCV means AE, adverse event. SEV, severity. Severity. Suppose if you get injured when you're playing a cricket, so immediately one of your friend will ask her how it was happened, the injury. Did you get the pain, or are you getting any pain or not? He will be asking you. He will be asking the three questions, whether it is a mild or moderate, or it's a severe. So this is what we call it as severity. So that means any particular adverse event, we always will target the severity. Based on the severity only, whether you need to go to the hospital or whether you need to take the treatment or whether you need to consult a particular doctor, that things will be get happened. So that is the reason. So in the A severity, so there is a mild, and the next one moderate, and the next one moderate, and the next one severe. So severe. So severe. So mild, moderate, severe. These are the three names. So now suppose for example, now there is a variable with the name called AESCR. Now you will come to know why the serious treatment emergent adverse event. Okay, so serious adverse event you are going to call. Very simple. We are going to remove this one. Serious adverse event we will call. So now what we'll do, we'll apply AESCR will apply. This is another variable where we need to have serious adverse event seriousness. So the subject is getting some headache, then immediately one of your friend has asked, it's a mild or moderate or severe. You will say that it's a mild, and the seriousness is no is there. Okay, so that means nothing else serious. It's okay, fine. It's okay, fine. Then coming to the next one, then after the next day again he just asked whether it's a mild or moderate or severe. So somewhat pain is there, but it's a moderate, but it is serious. But even though it is a serious is there, but it's saying that it's like severity is severe, but a seriousness is no is there. So that means even if the severity is serious is there, but seriousness no is there. So what happened exactly? So this patient will not have any problem. If the patient is having a mild with the seriousness is no is there, even this patient also will not have any kind of problem. But when the patient is having the moderate with the Y is there, whether it is a moderate or mild or severe, but for that particular corresponding variable value is Y is there. So then you should take into the consideration compulsory. So which consideration? Maybe the patient may be hospitalized. Maybe that means so he's a moderate, but it's a very serious. So compulsory you need to take to the hospital. Or AE, sometimes there is a possibility of chances are there where the death may be happened. Or sometimes you're going to have some congeniality, AE congeniality, or sometimes AE disability, or sometimes AE SMIE. So these are the different types of variables. That means so out of this any one or two or three, etc., there is a possibility chances are there. So sometimes even the severity moderate is there, seriousness Y is there. Maybe the patient may be hospitalized, maybe the subject may be taken the death, or maybe disabled, or maybe have the SMIE, or maybe congeniality. So in this one, in at least one compulsory should be there. But if it is no, everything is it, then that is wrong. That is a data issue. Compulsory. If the A severity, whatever the value it may be, but if the seriousness, any value is having, if the Y is there, then for that corresponding variables compulsory, at least one Y should be there compulsory. Remaining, if it is not there, also no problem. But compulsory, minimum one variable compulsory should have Y. Sometimes what happens, there is a chance of getting the two also. That is a depends. So that means he was hospitalized at the same time he was disabled. Like in this way, it will be there. So then these records will be considered as a serious adverse event you are going to call. So that means if the AE severity, whatever it may be, but in the AE seriousness, wherever Y is there, but any of this particular variable compulsory Y should be there. So in any of the variables, the Y is there, then the SCAE variable will be get created with the pattern of Y. So that means serious emergent adverse event. So serious adverse event is Y. So that means in any of this particular case, compulsory the patient record value is there. So this is a concern. So this is the overall technique. Now you understood the formulas. Rule number 1. Inform consent before if the subject is getting any adverse event, those information will be get populated in the medical history. Treatment before or inform consent after, in between if the subject is getting any kind of event, those information will get populated in the adverse event only. The formula is a treatment before if there is any adverse event is said, then those records will be considered as a adverse event only. But treatment during or after, if the subject is getting any adverse event, those records will be considered as a TEAE. Even if the severity is mild, moderate, severe is there, but the seriousness is no or Y is there. No is there means nothing else. Even not a single value will not be get populated. Because no is there, seriousness is not there. How can you define the value of them? Why? Not possible. Because these values cannot be defined by us. It will be defined during the treatment. They will note down the information in the CRF only, because these are all the columns which will be available in the CRF. Just simply they need to put the Y or N. So based on the same data will be captured into the raw data. Then coming to the severity, no is there. So here also nothing, but Y is there. So in the two cases, patient was hospitalized. Next, he was disabled. So then this records will be considered as a serious adverse event. So this is a first technique where you need to get an idea. Done. Next scenario. But at the same time, the funny thing is that there is another variable, quite interesting variable. That variable is nothing but toxic grade. Now, what do you mean by this? This toxic grade. Let me explain. It's like a TOX AE toxic grade GRD. So what do you mean by this AE toxic grade? Very simple. In the AE toxic grade, what I will do, I will give you the grade numbers exactly. So that means the toxic grade means it should be the character, but it will be specified to the numeric point of 1. But it should not mention like you are giving a ranking for that. Mild means 1, moderate means 2, severe means 3. So that means, but not the grade 1, grade 1, grade A. You should not include the name called grade. So just simply you need to measure the value. So that means now moderate means moderate means 2, severe means 3. But there are other, sometimes what happens, you may have other different values also. Like for example, there is a name with the name called in the raw data, the value name is the life threatening is there in the raw data. So now what happened? It will become 4. Then again, if the death is there, because in that A severity, mild, moderate, severe is there. Suppose if the life threatening is there, suppose if the death is there. So in this way, the toxic grade values will be defined completely. So wherever you go, our network follows. Wherever you have the A severity, toxic grade compulsory will be there. So if the toxic grade is there, you will take it as a primary variable as a toxic grade only, because that is very important to you when you go for the reporting point of mode. But if the toxic grades are not there, so then at the time you will try to primary oriented, you will try to target the variable of A severity. So that is the reason maximum cases in the TLFS point of mode, max of the max customer, they are expecting to have the toxic grades only, because there are other more values are there, life threatening, death, and etc. But whereas in the A severity, you can have only the mild and the moderate and only the severe. That's it, nothing other than that. So this is another important scenario. Never ever you're not going to declare the name called grade A or grade B or grade 1 or grade 2, etc. So this is the first part of portion. So then you can make a cross question. Abdul will ask, sir, like what will happen if I learn this one? Nothing else. Whenever you see any adverse event data, for example, I'm giving an idea to you. Whenever you see a data, immediately you should scan the data like anything. Are in this one, how many treatment emergent adverse events records are there? How many adverse events patients are there? How many serious adverse events patients are there? At least that idea you will get it. So my understanding, my concept is that to you, that whenever you see the data, the main intention of this technique is that you should understand the data in a segmentation wise. That is very important actually. So this is the first part of portion. Next one, let's see the process, another one. So there is another name is there with the name called the second rule with the name called AE SPID AE SEQ AE GRPID. Okay, fine. Group ID, sponsor ID, and AE ref ID. I hope this variable is there. If it is not there, just forget about that. A reference ID. So this variables looks like quite different. It's like a confusion part, because maximum cases what happens, this variable will be a very powerful variables. Actually, these variables, a sponsor ID, ref ID, reference ID, sequence, and group ID. Can anybody? I would like to know the usage of this particular variable, importance of the variable. Can anybody tell me what do you mean by a sponsor ID? Anybody? Any idea?
Sponsor's name.
A sponsor ID. What do you mean by A sponsor ID? Any idea regarding on the ref ID? Any idea regarding on the group ID? At least group ID. Okay, fine then, no problem. Okay. So the first concept is that A sequence. A sequence means, let us take an example. There is a, roughly I'm saying, there is a patient ID is there. Okay, so patient ID is 101, the same 101, the same 101, like etc. So the patient is having total 4 records are there, 101 patient. So that means immediately should understand that, okay, this is a A data. Oh, that means maybe 101 patient has got the adverse event. Okay, fine. So now, so let us assume this is a U subject. Hold a second. So let us take an example. This is a U subject ID. So U subject having some 101, 101. And if you take the AE term means adverse events terms. So like one, this 101 patient only has got the headache, and the 102 patient is having some dizziness. So dizziness, and 103% is 101% is having some vomiting, and at the same time another the same patient is having the vomiting. Wow. So now 101 subject is having total 4 adverse events in the data. Whenever you open the data, you come across that there are 4 adverse events are there. Now, whenever you go to the AE sequence, so what you need to do, AE sequence point of view, based on the use subject ID, your sequence will be generated. We are not concentrated on this AE term. We will never target the A term, we will just target the use subject ID only, because A sequence, adverse event sequence number, adverse event sequence number generation will be based on only the use subject ID only. And that too, whenever you do your programming in the clinical point of mode, you need to generate the A sequence at the end of the code only, not at the beginning of the code. Just keep this point in your mind. Do not ever should not apply the A sequence at the beginning of the code or at the middle of the code. At the end of the particular code, before you complete your entire programming, final step creation, you need to apply the A sequence. Now, the A sequence will be based on the use of the data 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. So again, if there is any new patient was come across 1 or 2, so then again for this patient also, something like he got some dizziness, he got it. So dizziness, he got it. Now at that time what happens, we will not target the item, we will just target the use subject ID. So again it will start with the 1. So that is the power of A sequence. A sequence will be based upon only the use subject ID only. Another scenario. The next scenario is that another variable with the name called AESP ID. What do you mean by this AE sponsor ID? Well, every single term will have an ID, because the sponsor will create one ID compulsory. Based on the A term, headache will have one ID, dizziness will have one ID, vomiting will have another ID, dizziness will have another ID. So that is what exactly. So here the IDs will be represented, and then this one and another ID will be represented, and this one another ID will be represented, and another ID will be represented, and another ID will be represented. So in this way, the dizziness, then again the ID. So this is the use of the AE sponsor ID. So like based on now, AE sequence will base upon the use subject ID. AE sponsor ID will base upon the AE term, because in the AE term, whatever the events are there, according to each and every event wise, the reading number. You mean say, yeah, I mean to say that sponsor ID is a kind of a reading number. So the reading numbers will be get assigned completely. So that means that is what we call it as sponsor ID. Well, the next scenario is that another one with the name called AEGRPID. What do you mean by AE group ID? This is another. What do you mean by AE group ID? AE group ID means, okay, in the AE group ID, I will target the use subject and this one combination variables. Chalo, in the 101 subject, there are 4 records are there. Okay. In the 101 subject, the adverse events are there. Okay. In the adverse event, how many repeated adverse events are there? Vomiting, vomiting. So then I'm going to assign a group ID over here for this message. So that means if the one patient is having only one particular event, which is not consistently, which is not going in the same pattern. So that means 101 subject is having a one time headache, one time dizziness, but vomiting is having 2 times. So then your group ID will target if the multiple adverse event has come across for the same patient. So then at that time for this particular 2 names, a group ID will be mentioned. So that is what we call as a group ID. Suppose if another same 101 patient, another time also got the vomiting, then and the same ID will be represented. So that means group ID will never ever target for only the single value. It will target for the same values with the multiple name. So that is the advantage over here. So that means if that one name is different and it is repeating completely, then you will create one ID. So that is what we call as a group ID. So that is the best evergreen technique. So by which what happens, at least once you apply the count for this group ID, at least you can come to know exactly, okay, my God, after the treatment, okay, this many times has got the vomiting sensation or vomiting, he got it. Okay, so that means we need to do some kind of changes in that. So whether it may be whether it will be like maybe the dose may be changed or like that depends. So, but this is the overall criteria. Reference ID, it's a default ID. We need not to do anything. They will provide one ID, reference ID for the entire study oriented point of view. So based on that, you are going to create one reference ID. That's it. So in this way, where you are going to have the entire technique. Now, but the important thing is that whenever you open the raw data, whenever you see the adverse event, by seeing the adverse event, you should understand, okay, what type of information which has been given. Did the fellow has given any adverse event terms? Okay. Then at the same time, like, did he mention any reference ID? Of course. Then you will directly map it. No need to do anything. Just simply you will map the reference ID is equals to like AE reference ID is equal to ref ID. So that whatever the main raw data values are there, same values will be copied into the ref ID. Set statement, how do you do? From one data set to another data set. So in the same way here also. So you will just copy the raw variable to the SDTM variable AE ref ID. So the next one is that this one we need to create compulsory AE sequence at the end of the code. AE group ID also you can create anytime, but after back merging all the data, you try to apply the AE group ID. And after combining all the data, finally you apply the AE group ID. So this is the one of the important technique to be learned completely. Very, very important. Next scenario.
Sir, question.
Yes.
Sir, can you explain me again AESPID?
ఏది సుజాత AESPID
AESPID.
ఈ AESPID అంటే ఏమంటే ఇప్పుడు మనకి సిఆర్ఎఫ్ ఫామ్ ఇచ్చినప్పుడు సిఆర్ఎఫ్ ఫామ్ లో ఏం చేస్తారంటే ఒక్కొక్క ఈవెంట్ అక్కడ మెన్షన్ చేస్తారనమాట. అంటే ట్రీట్మెంట్ తీసుకుంటున్నప్పుడు లైక్ దీస్ ఆర్ ద పర్టికులర్ ఈవెంట్స్ మే కమ్ అక్రాస్. యు అండర్స్టూడ్ మై పాయింట్, రైట్? నాట్ గెటింగ్? లెట్ మీ షో.
Yes.
Okay. Here ఏముంది ఇది? Can you see this one? Adverse events CRF form,
Yes,
right?
sir. Adversely.
ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ ఏముంటుంది? ఇక్కడ ఒక్కొక్క ఈవెంట్ ఉంటుందా? Here the adverse event will be there, right?
Yes, sir.
So in so adverse event, the patient ID will be written already. Every patient will have one CRF form. If one patient will have one CRF form, then I will write down all the events. I will write down over here. Then I'll write down the start date, when the adverse event has come across, when the adverse event was ended, and whether this due to the treatment he got it or without the treatment, like not with the treatment. And I will check the mild, moderate, severe. Based on that, I'll put the tick mark. Got it, right? So now every event wise, I'm going to capture the information. Now this every event will be named as a term. And this number AE number is right. This will be named as a AE sponsor ID. You got my point, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, and in the adverse event, repeated names will not be there. How many adverse events are there? That many adverse events will be written over here. Vomiting, constipation, itching. Okay, some are things like what do you say that some allergic reactions. Okay, or something like what is there are so many different types of adverse events are there. So like it will go on applying the individual names completely. So every particular adverse event will have one sponsor ID, sponsor ID, sponsor ID, sponsor ID, sponsor ID. So this AE number itself says that AESP ID. Okay, sometimes they will provide the reading number also. Even the reading number also will be written as the same sponsor ID. Now is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank
Okay. ఇదేనా? ఇది కాదు. Right. Next scenario. The next thing is that another variable, some few more variables are there with the name called AE LLT, AE LLT CD, AE HLT, AE HLT CD, AE HLGT, AE HLGT CD, AE PT, AE PTCD, AE SOC, AE SOC CD. Oh my God, this many variables I should remember. Correct. But it is very simple and easy. Let me explain it. So these are the variables you can just target carefully. AE LLT, AE adverse event, L low level term code, HLT high level term code, HLGT means high level group term, AA high level group term code, AEPT means preferred term, AEPTC means preferred term code, SOC means system organ class. Okay, system organ class. And next one SOCCD, system organ class code. So these are the variables will be considered as a MEDRA variables you are going to call. MEDRA variables you are going to call. But Abdul, what will say that, sir, little bit confusion, sir. Nothing else. I'll clarify to you. I'll come up to you only. So MEDRA variables you are going to call. So MEDRA variable, these are the MEDRA variables. Okay, let us take an example. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Let me open another document. Okay. Right. Okay, now listen to me carefully. With this you will get an idea. This is a MEDRA, medical dictionary for regulatory activities. This is a kind of a full form for the MEDRA. What do you mean by this? Very simple. First, let me explain what is MEDRA. Abdul in his family, listen to me, Abdul. Slowly I'm saying, very important one. in your family, one of your grandfather has got some headache. Okay. And immediately what you will do exactly? Immediately you will rush up, or else like he's feeling some quasi sick, very sick. He was feeling sick. Who? Your grandfather. Immediately you will rush up to your medical shop, and then you will ask, my grandfather is very sick. You will say, but you can't say anything more than that. Or else, from your end, what you'll say? My grandfather is feeling quasi. What the medical person will understand? Okay, feeling quasi means it's very difficult to sneeze, etc. Maybe he has tried, so for that reason. So like he understood in another way. Oh, feeling the okay, maybe he's having some nausea. So that means what happened now? There the terminology has changed, understanding was changed. Abdul when he's thinking, he thought that okay, it's a feeling quasi, but when he reached to the medical shop, he's saying that it's a nausea. Based on that, he has given the tablet. But now your Abdul father came, so immediately he has come across all the information. Then immediately he has taken like his father has taken the like his like grandfather has taken to the hospital. Abdul and Abdul father has taken to him to the hospital. So then again, doctor has understood that, okay, maybe it's a nausea and vomiting symptom. So based on that, he just written some prescription has given to the Abdul. Okay, fine. You need to follow that. So then after that, then if it is not cured or etc., then you will contact somewhat high-end specialist person. So there, his understanding is different. Gastrointestinal signs and symptoms. So that means each and every single level, the names of the hierarchy is changing. So this is what we call as a medra. We are going to go. So then Abdul will say, "Sir, ये सब मेरे को क्यों बोल रहा है? क्या को teach कर रहा है?" The only the reason is that if any advertisement has come across, you should know what type of data is available in that. Blindly knowing the SAS, it's not going to be enough. If any data which has been given to you, before only you should have an idea what type of data will be available in that. If you get that information, then definitely you can easily do any kind of programming or any customer like client you can interact and easily aram say you can do it. So that is an importance. So like if any data which has been given to you, you need to think about the data, what type of information will be existed in the data. So for that reason, compulsory these variables will be available in the data. Your data, your clinical data, these variables, apart from these variables, meta variables, you can see you will see some variables like the sponsor ID, you will see the variables like SPID, and then you will see the variables like the serious adverse events, like serious adverse event, A seriousness you will see, mild you like severity you will see, toxic grade you will see. This kind of variables you will see in the data. If you're not finding anything, then you will think about it, or why this data was not there. If it doesn't have any idea, if you have the programming knowledge, what you can do? If they're keeping a requirement on you, if he's posing the requirement on you, how can you able to understand without knowing the data? So that is the reason. So these are all the information which will be existed in the data. So I request you to concentrate that in the data, what type of information will be there. In the demographic, what type of information will be there. In the concurrent medication, what information will be there. If you know that, that is a domain part you will come to know, and you will be successful of handling anything in the clinical. So these are all the meta variables. Like that is the reason we will be naming of this. The low level term means easily haram, so you can just define it. LLT, AE, LLT. This is a raw variable. SDTM variable you can map it. AE, LLT, CD. Next, preferred term. AEPT, AEPT, CD. Next, high level term. AEHLT, then AEHLT, CD. Next, high level group term. AEHLGT, AEHLGT, CD, high level group term. AESOC, AESOC, CD. So in this way, but there are other names also. Is that you can name it as some other names. So I'm putting a slash and I'm writing SOC. You can call it the AE body sys. This is the name, AE body sys. Preferred term you can call it as a AE decode. AE decode. So these variables compulsory should keep in your mind, and you need to by heart it or mug up or just get a knowledge in your mind. That's it. Whatever you do. But you need to have in your mind. So this is the thing. SOC and body sys you will be naming as, and the next one SOC will be in the raw data, but your SDTM standards point about you will mention as AE body sys. PT is a raw variable, but you will be naming as a AE decode, SDTM standard. Remaining things all are okay. Generally, you'll not have the AE, you will have the HLT, you will have the HLT but you will be naming as a SDTM, what you will be naming as AE will not be there. So here you will name it as a AE HLT. So this AE will not be there in the raw data. I mean to say, this AE will not be there. Remember. So this AE will not be there, only SOC, HLGT, raw data variable. So you need to convert them into the AE body sys. SOC means AE body sys. HLT means AE HLGTs, AE HLGT CD, so AE HLT CD or AE HLT. So preferred term means AE decode. These two names will be changed. The rest of the names will be same only. But before that, you should add the AE compulsory. So I hope this is clear, everybody. Got it? So in the same way, so let me show you the data, raw data to you. Let's close this. And then let's go to the AE Medra. To double click on the AE Medra, you can just see all the different variables now. Just scroll the bar. So now you'll understand, you don't understand this. You'll not understand this. Array, Greek and Latin will be there. But if you see the data, but I will make you to understand the data now after this. Next tomorrow's class after, you will understand the total data. Without my consent, by seeing the data, you will say exactly what is happening. What is there in this one? What is T? What is C? What is H? What is O? What is probably? What is not? Definitely not. What do you mean by that? So that information you can come to know. Outcome, etc. But as of now, what are the variables to discuss? That we'll see totally clearly. So this is a variables, right? MEITXT means a vomiting, intermittent, weight loss, RT, flank pain, the area, fatigue, chills, nausea, etc. So weight loss, some shortness of breath. So these are the different types of the nausea and etc. Okay. So these are the names will be considered as a AE term. You can directly, this is a raw variable. You need to change it to AE term. That's it. LLT means AE LLT, good. Then LLTC means AE LLT CD. PT means AE PT, AE PT, but not AE PT. What do you call? Quick, what do you call? AE PT, PT underscore T means what do you call? Preferred term, there is another alternative name in the SDTM. What are you going to call with that name? What are you going to call? Preferred term ni A name to pilistam manam SDTM lo.
A decode.
AE decode. So just write on the AE decode. So the preferred term code ni AE. So so we'll have the decode code. Next one the HLT, HLGT, and HLC, HLT like HLTCD and HLGT means HLGTCD. SOC means SOCCD. So these are all the names you can just apply it completely. So in this way, you're going to have all the particular data completely. So this is the way where you're going to have it. I hope this is clear for everybody. Got it? Now, at least you understood 30% of data. Okay, like apart from this, some more data we need to understand. What is that, Let's see the data again. Now, whenever we open this one, now let's see. The next one is that now this is another scenario. Now, there are other two more variables are there, which is very, 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 very important. So that's what we call the AEST-DTC. That is nothing but adverse event started. AEENDTC. That is adverse event ended. But in the raw data, this variable name should not be there. You need to create it in your SDTM. But in the raw variable, what will be there? Let's go to that raw data and check what is it. What is the variable? Okay, if you just scroll the bar left side, you can see this. This is a start date. Oh, this is a stop date. Start date is nothing but AE started when the adverse event has come across and when the adverse event was ended. See, This patient has got the adverse event on 30th July 2004, but till now it did not ended the event. So that means still it is continuing. 23rd August 2004, subject has got the adverse event, but there is no end for it. So 16th July 2004, he got the adverse event. Then 10th August 2004, it was cleared. So which event? Okay, some pleural effusion. But weight loss, no, till now, 23rd August, he started the adverse event. Due to the adverse event, we got it. But till now, the weight loss has not happened because ending date is not there. So in the same way, every particular, some dates, end dates will not be there, some end dates will be there. So this is a start date and this is end date. But the raw data variable is started and ended. But when you come to the SDTM, you will be naming as A start date and A end date. This is a start date. This is a stop date. Stop date. Let us say stop date. Let us take an example. So when you come to the, now this variable will be the numeric, raw data variable will be numeric, and it will be there in the date and time format. And this one also, it will be in the numeric format, numeric lo untadi, and it should date and time, both are there in that date and time format. But what you need to do now, you need to convert into the, so first you need to convert them into the character. Next, you need to convert to the IS8601 DA dot, you need to convert. So this is your job in the adverse event start date. So this is what start date and stop date. Clear? Any doubt in this one, everybody? Hello, is this clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask one by one.
Clear, sir.
Okay, one. Shruti is
Clear.
very nice. Abdul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jyoti?
Sir, it is clear, but can you explain AE sequence once?
ఏ సీక్వెన్స్ అంటే ఏం లేదు జ్యోతి, ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ చూడు, ఇప్పుడు కనిపిస్తుంది, ఇది చూస్తే నీకు అర్థమవుతుంది. ఇప్పుడు లెట్ మీ ఓపెన్ ద ఏఈ. ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తుందా?
Yes.
ఒకసారి ఇక్కడ చూడు, యూ సబ్జెక్ట్ ఇక్కడ ఒక 123101 పేషెంట్ కి ఎన్ని అడ్వర్స్ ఈవెంట్స్ వచ్చాయి?
3.
ఎలా చెప్తున్నావు?
That.
Based on the use subject ID, you can see the count exactly. AE sequence.
Okay. Okay.
మనకి ఇక్కడ like if the same repeated names are there, pounding headache, that is not concerned because AE sequence will be generated based on the use subject ID. Sequence generate అవుతున్న అంటే use subject ID ఉన్న కొద్ది మీకు sequence అనేది generate చేయాలి. అది you need to create the variable. In your raw data will not be there. You should write the program in the SAS.
Okay.
Right? ఇంకోటి ఏదైనా గ్రూప్ ఐడి అన్నాం
okay.
కదా,
Thank
ఎంత ఉందో లేదా మరి గ్రూప్ ఐడి చూడాలి. ఇక్కడ చూడు, ఇదో ఉంది చూడు. Now there is a use subject ID 120, 123, 101, 123, 101 is there, 123, 101. So based on the use subject ID, the sequence was generated. So that means for the 101 patient, there are total 6 adverse events has come across it. Whether it is a repeated or unique, that doesn't care about it. So finally, what happened now? The total 6 numbers which are generated based on the use subject ID. AE group ID means if only one nausea is one time is there, so we cannot count the group because it is not a group, it's a single adverse event. So we cannot apply the group ID. But one thing, the area, 1111, 222. So that by which what happens, at least you can come by seeing the group ID, at least you can come to know. Now in this particular for this particular subject, there are total two, like what do you mean that? So based on if you take the AE group ID, so that means 2 times repeated times you got the adverse event. That means by seeing the group ID, you can say exactly like repeated times you got the adverse event, but one means you cannot say anything. So that is a scenario. Got it right? Group ID. అర్థమైంది కదా? సింగిల్ దానికి ఐడి, సింగిల్ దానికి గ్రూప్ ఐడి అసైన్ చేయమను. సో ఈ గ్రూప్ ఐడి, it can be number, it can be anything, it can be with something like so 1 or 2 digits or 3 characters or etc. It all depends. So but in this way you need to create it. Clear? ఇంకేమైనా డౌట్ ఉందా? Everybody. No doubts? I'm asking last time. Any doubts?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, fine.
No.
So now let's take a look on this one now. Okay. Now let's try to understand the other variables. So now look at this particular variables carefully so that at least you'll get some idea. Study ID is ABC123. Domain is AE, because by saying this domain only we can come to know it's adverse event. Use subject ID. Based on the use subject AE sequence generated, group ID we know AE term. That means this 101 patient has got the adverse, like which adverse event? Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, etc. But this AE term comes under which body system? Gastrointestinal disorders. So this is a body system. And so that means AE body system means it's a MEDRA variable. Immediately should get an idea. This is a MEDRA variable. Okay. So based on the AE term, compulsory AE body system compulsory should be there. Okay. So AE severity means okay, nausea got mild or moderate, but serious is no is there. So wherever no, that means it's a moderate or even severe also no is there, seriousness. So then what happened now exactly? Hospitalized, congenitality, disability, SMIE. So those variables will not have anything. But if the mild is there, if S is there, or the severe is there, if the S is there, then compulsory that variables compulsory will be there. Okay, next. Action means subject has got the nausea. Okay, and due to the nausea, compulsory you need to take some medication. Compulsory you need to take the medication. So then whatever the medication you has taken, that medication taken, that means that medication was not changed. That means the dose was not changed. Okay, whether it's a related or not, yes, it is a related, because due to the treatment only, subject has got the adverse event. Okay, so that means clearly it says that okay, because you have taken the treatment, that is the reason you got the nausea. Some subjects will take the COVID vaccine. Some subjects will get the adverse event. Some subjects may not get the adverse event. Okay, but here what happened exactly? Nausea got it. That means first only they know exactly. If you take this medication compulsory, if you take this treatment compulsory, there will be some side effects, some adverse events you will get it. So based on that, you need to take the treatment compulsory medication you should take. So that means related means that means we can understand very easily that due to the treatment only subject has got the nausea. Possibly related also same thing only. It's like a related only. Not related, possibly related, definitely related. These all the names comes under related only. Not related means it's not related one. So that means not with the treatment. Due to the treatment, he did not got the adverse event. Due to some other reason, he got the adverse event. So possibility means due to the treatment only, they got the nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, etc. So now, when the subject has got the adverse event, the 13th, the 14th, the 16th, the 17th, the 16th, the 17th. So on this particular days, the subject has got the adverse event, and the adverse event end date exactly. So in this way, so this type of information which will be get available in the raw data. So this is a standardized variables, but when you go to the raw data, you will not see the AE body system. What do you see? So there in the raw data, what do you see? You will see the SOC. That's it. SOC you will see. This variable will see. Term will not be there. Like A term will not be there. Some MEATXT. This is a variable name. By saying that, you should understand that. MEATXT means it's a A term. Okay. Severity. SEV. Severe. But you need to change it to AE severity. Serious. AE serious. Or AES or serious. So then you should change it to AE seriousness. Action taken. Action. So every variable will have their own raw variable names. But when you come to the SDTM, you need to change it to standard name. So up to here is going to be enough. So tomorrow we'll be continuing the rest of the portion. So with this, our AE also will be done. It will be get completed by tomorrow. So then tomorrow we'll see the annotation also. Okay. So now tomorrow definitely what I will do compulsory when I do the annotation, when I open the annotation, compulsory every person, at least you should guide me. what variable will come, what variable will come. That's the only thing I'm going to ask you. So tomorrow just go through with the recording, get an idea, then based on that, any queries are there, just ask them. Well, that's it for today. So we'll be continuing the class tomorrow. So SAS classes, like I will be telling you at what time, because I want to take continuously like some 1.5 hour or something around. I want to take it. I'll give the information to you tomorrow. Exact date you will get it. You will get an idea when the SAS class will be get started. See, this is a complete domain concept. I'm telling you. And remember one thing. Just imagine. Okay, you do one thing. Whenever you get a free time, maximum you try your level best throughout entire India. No, throughout entire world. Any institution, any organization, any places you see. None of the person will give the two trainings to you. Suppose if you're taking the SAS clinical in one batch, one class only, you will be commencing the class. 2 to 2.5 months you will be taking. Saturday, Sundays will be gone. So that, but I'm not doing it that way because that is not my mentality, not my ability. SAS separately I will take. Clinical separately I'll take. And I'll maximum focus upon the SAS and clinical people. And I don't want to make you confusion. This is only Abdul. सुन रहा है ना, ये खाली ये डाटा अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए जो तुम्हारे को डाटा मिलेगा, सो देखने के बाद आपको पता चलना चाहिए ये डाटा में कौन सा वेरिएबल से ये डाटा में क्या क्या आता, तो वो सब तुम्हारे को मालूम होना चाहिए. सो जब मालूम हो जाए तो तुम्हारे को आसान हो जाएंगे. जब आप SAS भी लर्न करें तो भी आपको आसान हो जाएंगे. मगर मैं कल तुम्हारे को करेक्ट टाइम बोलूंगा, कितना टाइम, क्या कौन सा टाइम पे ये SAS स्टार्ट हो जाता, इसके हिसाब से स्टार्ट करें तो आपको आराम से चले जाता. ठीक है. और जो बाकी सब जो लोग SAS का है मैं बोलता हूँ, सो लाइक आई विल इंटीमेट टू यू, बेस्ड ऑन दैट वी विल गो अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट. ओके. So SAS clinical classes will run as usual timing at 7 o'clock only. So it will be get continued. Slowly I will be taking. If any person who makes me hurry, definitely I need to cut off the syllabus. So please, that is a main concern from my end. So like I request only regarding on the fee payment. That's the only thing. Remaining things, whatever the process I want to do it to you, favor to you, definitely I will do in the best way. Max, I'll give you a good output to you. You can make a comparison anywhere, no problem for me. And if when you compare the things, and if you think that sir, this is the problem where I'm getting, I need some other concept because they are done, so that I can check account to my syllabus, and if it is possible, then I'm going to say account like that particular topic also. Don't worry. Maximum will give the techniques to you end to end. So tomorrow we will be seeing the most important things like TPT calculations and some reference concepts and VSRF TDDC point of like AENRF, AESTRF, some like reference time points. So these are all the variables we will be seeing tomorrow. Tomorrow class is also very important. So once you're done, then you will come to, you will be having the 2 domains in your pocket. So then again, the next day after that day, again another domain. So minimum 8 domains, 8 to 9 domains will be learning completely, so that you will be very happy. And with the support of things, we'll continuously will do like SDTM, ADAM with the same domain. We'll have a flow. SDTM, ADAM, and TLFS from the domain to till the reporting what you done, everything will have a consistency manner. So that will be a good advantage to you. Anyway, the
Sir.
new people don't concentrate on it. Okay, just
Sir, I have a question.
help.
Sir, this coding part, when you will be started, sir? Like once we finish everything, then
Once we completed the domain and annotation, then your programming will be started.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Minimum it will take 12 to 13 days.
Okay, sir. No problem. Take your own time, no rush.
Yeah, fine. Because otherwise, actually, what happens if I take the domain directly, it will be get completed in 10 days. So if I'm not taking this one, I can complete your entire SAS like clinical completely within 2 months before only I can complete it. Because our syllabus is so vast, very experienced, and minimum you can keep up to 4 years. And when you attend the interviews also, at least you will get an idea from where this fellow is asking the questions. You can put a boundary circle and you can get an idea. So that is the reason. Tomorrow we'll continue the same time. Okay. Thank you. Any queries, please
Okay,
update me in the WhatsApp. And I request you last final word from my end. Please do not connect with the mobile. I request you not to connect with the mobile. If I do the recording, if I send you, I will charge extra 3,000 rupees because this is not my job. The job is to, I'm going to provide the recording to you. You can do the recording by yourself and you can keep the recording with you. If I send the recording to you, then definitely I'm going to charge them. So that is the reason. So please, I request you, get your laptop and I'm going to give the recording option. Do the recording by yourself. Don't ask me. If you ask me, then I will charge because separately conversion, attaching, sending, it's very difficult for me because I have my own schedules. So that is the reason. Please, I request, kindly consider me. And from tomorrow till now, whatever the recordings has been done, that I am going to send it to you. For some people I send, for some people I did not send. But now I'm
Sir.
going to send it to you. And
Sir,
put a
please.
WhatsApp message who did not receive. WhatsApp message me. WhatsApp me now. Immediately I'm going to send you. Okay.
Sir, please send previous
Thank you.
recordings.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, sir.